It's the wonderful Rosemary Elliot, President of Sentient, the Veterinary Institute for Animal Ethics. Rosemary studied veterinary science at the University of Sydney after establishing her career as a clinical psychologist. She was an executive of the student organisation, Veterinary Science for Animal Welfare, and student representative on the faculty's Animal Welfare Advisory Committee. After graduating, her honours research led to the first published study of greyhound adoption. Her experiences during veterinary training fostered an ambition to focus directly on animal welfare and ethics. She co-founded Sentient in 2011 and is their current president. Rosemary now combines her psychology background and veterinary skills to contribute to the animal movement through writing, public speaking, political advocacy, research, small animal veterinary practice, volunteer veterinary work, and supervising DVM students on animal welfare and advocacy rotations. She is a member of the Australian Veterinary Association, Australian and New Zealand College of Veterinary Scientists, the Animal Welfare and Ethics chapter, and also of VALE, Vets Against Live Export, and Vets Beyond Borders. Rosemary's particular interests are animal sentience, the human-animal bond, and the plight of production animals and animals used for research and entertainment. And she is the proud guardian of a rescue dog named after Greyfriars Bobby. Rosemary was awarded the 2024 David Bayville Memorial Award for Excellence in Animal Welfare by the Animal Welfare Chapter of the Australian and New Zealand College of Veterinary Scientists. And it's my great joy to hand over to you. Thank you, Rosemary. Can't hear you. Hang on a second, Rosemary. I'll see if I can unmute you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, yes, thank you.
And what should be in that bio is not very good with technology. So
how you are a walking phenomena. I don't.
Well, wait till you see what I can do here with trying to share my PowerPoint. Now, Alex walked me through it before. I press share.
Yep.
I select my PowerPoint. And then I say share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Well, not only did you do a wonderful presentation, Alex, but you've saved me from considerable embarrassment. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so look, I'm here. I'm really grateful that you invited me to represent Sentient today. And I will start with my, now, can you see the second slide? Yes, I did do a welcome to country, so I'll read that out. I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land. I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal people and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of New South Wales. So I will be giving a brief overview of Sentient, who we are, why we formed as an organisation and what we do. And then I would like to talk a little bit about our rodeo advocacy, which is a very collaborative, it's a very collaborative enterprise now, which is very exciting, including some of your wonderful members. So let me go to, oh gosh, it's slow. I've got it now. Our mission. So look, basically we aim to be a strong voice for animals and to support other veterinarians to speak up for animals as their first priority. And I'm sure you know that not all vets do that, and there are different reasons for it, but it is really concerning and was really why we actually formed. So our mission is that we are an independent Australian Veterinary Association and charity dedicated to promoting animal welfare and ethics. So we believe that veterinarians actually have a moral obligation to play a leading role in animal advocacy. And I do think our profession has been left way behind, and I like to think we're catching up. Our mission is to bring the recognition of animal sentience to the national agenda and to advocate the humane treatment of animals as a priority wherever they are used or affected by humans. So, animal sentience, I think sentience is at the heart of animal advocacy. And all those of us here today and those of us in this movement recognise animal sentience, and we understand that all animal lives matter. So there are different definitions. I've put a couple of them up there. This is a lovely image of horses aloe grooming. It's just beautiful. I like John Webster's definition. It's quite simple. They're feelings that matter to the individual. So why we formed. What I want to say is that veterinary training was really a learning ground in good and bad ways. So certainly for appreciating the unique needs of different animal species, but also for understanding how their welfare is compromised by treatment that is legal and often routine. So the animal husbandry pracs and farm rotations were invariably a nightmare. You were either pressured into doing and or watching things that should not happen to animals. And it's not easy saying no. And sometimes you don't develop the sort of rapport with the property owners that would give you good marks. So there are lots of problems there when you say no, but you should say no. Conscientious objection policies tend to disappear from veterinary school websites. Anyway, this sort of nightmare does introduce us to the ethical dilemmas that vets face, such as industry pressure to really toe the line rather than being true advocates for animals. So what I've got here, and you know it better than I do, and I've lost the website that it came from, so I should have acknowledged this, but this is teeth clipping in piglets and a sow stuck in a farrowing crate. And the next one is something I saw a lot of, which is dehorning without sedation or analgesia. And this can legally be performed in New South Wales without pain relief in animals under 6 months of age. So some pretty horrific stuff, and I think you use it to inspire you. So I guess we believe that rather than accepting how things have always been done, that vets have a moral obligation to play a leading role in speaking up for the interests of animals. So 2 years after graduating, myself, and along with Dr. Catherine Van Eckert and Dr. Adele Lloyd, who are now wonderful vets, we formed Sentient as the first independent veterinary association in Australia. So this is back in 2011. And we were followed very closely by the wonderful VALE, Vets Against Live Export. So this was all in the wake of the horrific exposés of Australian cattle and the way they were being slaughtered in Indonesian abattoirs. Goes back a while, but the memories are still there, aren't they? So a little bit about what we do. Our main focus is actually the advocacy. And what we do in our advocacy is we always highlight the need for legislative change and improved regulatory systems, including the establishment of something like an independent office of animal welfare. So our recommendations to improve animal welfare are based on the 5 domains model of animal welfare, which was established by Miller, and also on evidence of what we know the animals in question want and what their needs are. So I guess in our view, some industries need to be abolished, and some of them definitely need to be basically radically overhauled in terms of their current practices. Now, we also provide education through presentations and through hosting an online rotation for final year DVM students at Sydney Uni in animal welfare advocacy. And that's really exciting doing that. we also offer expert opinion through providing evidence at parliamentary inquiries and reviewing footage of animal cruelty obtained by other animal advocacy groups. And we did a big thing last year with duck shooting footage. All right, so the sort of I just want to give you a bit of a flavour of the areas that we cover. Since forming, we have written over 200 submissions. I could count them, but it's somewhere closer to 240 maybe now. And they do cover most areas of animal use. So these have included companion animal management. So anything from breed-specific legislation, puppy farms, cat management. Oops, what have I done? Also live animal export. So many submissions on this. It's not funny, as a lot of us have done. The use of animals for research and teaching. I'm having trouble with my reading view. Hang on. Horse welfare. So that includes flat racing, jumps racing, restrictive devices, the need for horse traceability. And then we've got greyhound racing and greyhound exports, production animal welfare. I've just put them all in a big basket. But we've focused on pigs, poultry and ruminants, anything from transport to unloading to slaughter to the way they're kept, which is horrific in most instances. The management of non-native species. So we've done a fair bit on the brumbies and on the use of 1080 poison in other species. Recreational shooting, and with a focus on ducks and roos. The keeping of animals in circuses and of cetaceans in captivity, and also rodeos. So look, we also do a lot of submissions that are on like the bigger picture, such as the regulatory system. So we've looked at reviews of animal welfare legislation, standards and guidelines. We've looked at the need for independent oversight of animal welfare. And also an interesting one is opposing proposed legislation, some of which has got through, aiming to inhibit the conduct of investigations by animal advocates, journalists and whistleblowers into systemic animal abuse. So that's kind of a broad brushstroke of what we have been doing over the last 11 years. Now, rodeo advocacy. So Sentient has always been opposed to rodeos and want them shut down, as we all do. But in 2021, we formed a national rodeo advocacy group that involves individuals and members of other organisations, including Animal Liberation. And I'm very aware that Animal Lib has a long history of opposing rodeos, which you should be very proud of. I know, Linda, you were a pioneer in the area, and Lisa Ryan, you're there, Lisa, I think. Your contributions are just tireless, and we're very proud to have Lisa as a member of this national rodeo advocacy group. Look, there's never been a specific parliamentary inquiry into rodeos since we established Sentient. So most of our advocacy until the group was formed was for the Animal Welfare Acts in different jurisdictions come up for commentary and review. So we've always put something in those about the need to remove exemptions from prosecution for rodeos. We have focused on educating the public and sadly including vets about the welfare problems of rodeos. But I think what happens is a lot of vets in rural and regional areas, in terms of trying to be part of the community and get into the spirit, have actually advertised rodeos on their websites and Facebook pages. We've also written to the Australian Rodeo Federation, and that was about our concerns about the handling of injured animals, or perhaps the non-handling of injured animals in many cases. So look, the advocacy group has really proved to us the importance of strategic alliances. So since forming the group, Sentient has broadened our efforts because it's been collective. So this has included letters to sponsors of rodeos, letters to ministers for tourism, all to inform them, educate them really about the cruelty of rodeos, and particularly the risk to the human participants and including children. Because I think if sponsors know that, they're going to get really uncomfortable about continuing to promote these events. Lobbying of local councils and also writing submissions to Parliament to oppose the renewal of rodeo licences. That's a good angle. Writing to MPs to educate them about the animal welfare issues and the need for the current codes of practice to be reviewed. And we did submit also to the 2021 revision of the Queensland Standards and Guidelines for the Welfare of Animals Used in Rodeos, along with a sort of a mail out to MPs at the same time to urge for a ban on calf roping. And some of our future plans include engaging with journos in rural areas. Members of our of this group have noted the very biased reporting in the media, particularly by the ABC on rodeos. We want the other side to get out there. Reviewing footage is always on the cards, and advocating for an inquiry into rodeos in New South Wales to address the need for legislative change. We've had a lot of great inquiries in recent years, and I think a big thank you to the Greens and the Animal Justice Party for being responsible for some of those, or most of those. So that's where we would sort of like to go to. I've got a couple of images here that have come from RSPCA Australia. And, you know, it just shows the brutal handling of these animals in rodeos. And it's actually the exact opposite of humane, low-stress handling principles that are more and more being promoted by the livestock industry. So rodeos are truly outdated. They are not supported by the majority of Australians, and including those who live in rural areas. So I've put up a link to our Sentient's position statement on rodeos with a brief snapshot of it here. We want a ban on all rodeos and rodeo schools, and we want that to be enshrined in all legislation. But until then, you know, there are codes of practice and standards, but they're not enforced. A lot of them are not mandatory and they're inadequate. And we think that they really need to be updated until rodeos are banned, including a prohibition on calf roping. And if we could get the minimum body weight for cattle to be 200 kilograms, that effectively rules out calf roping. And that's already the case in some states, such as Victoria. A prohibition on the use of spurs, flank straps, and electric prodders. They cause injury and extreme pain and terrible distress to these animals. They're basically being tormented and forced to buck. We want compulsory attendance by veterinarian and animal welfare officers at all rodeo events. That doesn't currently happen. Often what happens is a vet is on call. A lot of them don't even go to the rodeo. We think that these two types of professionals should be sitting through every rodeo. And we'd like to see a prohibition on children's rodeo events. I guess we're really concerned about the impact on children. Psychologically, what it's not teaching them about animals in terms of respect and compassion, and the potential. I was doing a bit of a review, which a bit of it went into our position statement on injuries to children and adolescents in rodeos, and the most likely spot they'll have an injury is the head. So it's madness. So that's a very quick, brief intro to what we do. And I'd like to put up my email address if anyone wants to contact me. And it's just wonderful to be part of this, and particularly given the things that you all do in Animal Lib. And I really do take my hat off to you, because I think you often, you just go that step further than other advocacy groups. So congratulations. I've finished.
That's just lovely. Rosemary, your acknowledgement of animal liberation, and we're almost at our 50 years. So that's
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And your presentation was so informative, and it's just just amazing that that you are so inclusive, and that you reach out to other groups and, you know, strengthen numbers. And yeah, it's a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
So I'm not sure if you have to leave us.
No, I would like to stay. So
Oh,
if I do leave, I'll make it quite a silent exit. But no, I'd like to stay for as long as I can. Yeah.
okay. Because there's a few comments coming through
Okay.
directed
I'm
at
trying
you.
to follow them here, saying hello to people, which is lovely. Oh,
And so that brings us to our very special final speaker this evening,